Hello, and welcome to the Field Hockey Coaching Resource. Within the basics of field hockey, the coach must have multiple skills to be a strong leader to teach their athletes. These skills involve motivational leadership, varied communication, player development through tactical and technical knowledge, and also psychological understanding. The golden thread is England hockey's fundamentals of how to plan a session and what the session needs for its participants to enjoy it. The first segment is loads of touches on the ball. This allows for the athletes to develop their skills and provide a technical element to the session, keeping them engaged at all times. The second segment is stretch. This progressive overload pushes the athlete to their absolute best, physically and technically. At an elite level, this is vital to make the players better and stronger who can handle the wider workload against other opponents. The third section is making the session look like a game scenario. This allows for greater understanding of the players of what needs to be done to create a tactical advantage so they can perform better in game. For example, a drill version of this would be a 4 versus 3 or a 3 versus 2. The fourth section of the golden thread is decision making. This could be through coaching behaviours or through practice. This keeps the players involved and engaged by challenging them and furthering their development on how to play hockey. Finally, making sure the session is fun and the athletes can enjoy it without feeling tedious to keep them in a positive growth mindset. The golden thread is an easy way to match the team's identity and to match team's identity to training practices and performances. Change It is another England hockey resource that is used when a drill isn't going particularly well and something needs to change from the coach's perspective. It stands for coaching style, how to score, area, numbers, game rules, equipment, inclusion, and time. This is a very player-centered approach that encourages decision-making to make more tactical decisions by giving flexibility to the coaches to give meaning to their session. One of the main areas we are going to look at is psychology in sports coaching. When performing at any sport level, athletes deal with psychological demands during exercise. This could be dealing with the pressure of the opposing team, crowd, or even judgment of peers and coaches. These are the constant expectations for them to succeed. A coach needs to be able to manage the players' pressure and stress levels for them to perform at the highest level possible. This can involve having one-to-one chats to calm their arousal levels down, or big group team talks to motivate the team to work harder and have greater energy levels to motivate. An athlete can suffer from physical setbacks such as injuries that damages the confidence and motivation for their success. A coach needs to steer the athlete away from these negative thoughts and emotions to motivate them to put all their energy into succeeding. Players who are potentially benched or lose in big games can suffer from being very pessimistic and become discouraged. These mental losses can affect performance as they don't feel as confident and they may play passively because of this. Having this, the coach can manage the player's personal motivation and cater to why they want to win and set their own personal goals for players in order for them to feel fulfilled. Athletes who are constantly training may also suffer from burnout due to overthinking and a lack of recovery time. This results in physical and mental fatigue, which results in being demotivated to train or play as the athlete not giving it all. Psychology is important for coaches as it can motivate the athletes by setting meaningful goals to keep them engaged while also understanding the principles of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. It also improves a coach's communication with players to build trust and develop leadership skills within these players whilst on the pitch, as if they have high confidence in high pressure situations, they can lead by example. Players having resilience can help them come back from negative situations that they may be in due to their poor performance. If a players can control their anxiety and stress before high pressure and intensity games to calm nerves and reduce the chance of a lapse in performance standard. All of these lead to a stronger performance for athletes, giving the team a greater chance to win. Research from Kruger found the significance of performers' resilience and overall well-being, such as the emotional intelligence and confidence when gaining success on the pitch. It found that emotional intelligence is a main contributor to the player's ability to cope with the difficulty of performing skills, whilst maintaining confidence and also staying motivated. This suggests that mental toughness and psychological skills could increase the resilience and the situational awareness when performing such actions during game-based scenarios. The key areas in hockey where this is useful is if a team goes 1-0 down against a higher ranked opponent, having the perseverance is pivotal for the team to come back and win the game. An additional quote from Lauren Penny underpins the importance of coaching. As she said, the intensity of hockey, combined with the unpredictability of competitive team sports, makes learning to control and harness the power of your mind all the more powerful. Some psychological technique can be used to help these hockey players when feeling stressed or anxious. These are performance profiling, goal setting, self-talk, arousal control, imagery, and pre-competition routines. These build confidence and can allow the player to regulate their emotions to feel mentally ready for the performance. The main technique that has worked in the past and that we will use today is imagery. Imagery is a general broad technique that allows the athletes to experience success and skills before performing. This can help with game awareness, as the athlete can anticipate the opponent's moves and counteract them to score or maintain possession. For example, winning the championship or hearing the crowd cheer on in. Whereas mental rehearsal is a specific form of imagery, focusing on the cognitive stimulation of the physical skill in detail. Fundamentally, the athlete acts out different skills, techniques, or tactics without actually moving. An example in hockey is when performing a penalty corner, the player can visualize the setup, where the ball is going to be, imagine the defending players coming towards them, and then execute the skill to the highest of standards. This gives the player focus and timing to perform such actions in high pressure situations, but by successfully visualizing the scenarios, it gives the player confidence and reduces the stress placed upon them. Imagery also combines using other techniques such as self-talk, goal setting, emotional regulations. PETLEP is a practical framework for imagery and is defined as the evidence-based framework for structuring mental imagery in a way that mimics real performance. It stands for physical, environment, task, timing, learning, emotion, and perspective. The physical involves a real movement or posture deviation, such as holding a stick during a penalty corner. The environment is using familiar surroundings to enhance the realism of the injury. This could be the crowd or the feel from the AstroTurf when playing at home. Task is what you are imagining. This is the actual skill that is being performed. For example, visualizing an aerial to go to its exact location. Timing is how fast or slow the skill needs to be performed and how it's going to be performed in real time. For example, in hockey, what pace is the pass going to be played at? Learning happens through using imagery often. As the players can adapt to improve their skills, they can further the difficulty of their skill. For example, instead of drag flicking the ball along the floor, instead aiming with power towards the top corner, which requires a higher level of difficulty. Emotion manages the situation, whether it needs to be confident or to have excitement. It's feeling the nerves before, for example, it's feeling the nerves before an important moment, such as a penalty stroke. And perspective is how the athlete sees the situation in their head. Is it third person or is it through their own eyes and what they see on the pitch? In hockey, we mainly use first person just so we can see what is in front of the play and to see what skills need to be formed at a certain time and when. The pros and cons of this is imagery offers multiple psychological benefits for the athletes, including enhanced skill development, improved confidence, and better emotional regulation. By mentally rehearsing key movements and situations, athletes can sharpen their focus and concentration, leading to more consistent performance in competition. However, on the other hand, the effectiveness of imagery depends on how it's used. It requires skill and regular practice to be impactful. And if it's applied without a structured framework such as PETLEP, it may be significantly less effective. Additionally, there is a risk of reinforcing mistakes if the imagery is inaccurate or poorly guided. Overuse or unfocused sessions may also lead to mental fatigue and distraction, which can detract from its benefits and the reason why we use it. The 5Cs are another framework that help coaches support the psychological development of athletes. When athletes use imagery, it is pivotal that they follow the 5Cs framework. These stand for confidence, concentration, control, commitment, and communication. This could be like making a tackle or scoring a goal. This could also used by using a series of movements to create these positive outcomes. Having control over the outcomes helps manage pressure and frustration during tense situations, and having commitment and communication also help when completing imagery. Within coaching, coaching in different contexts has its pros and cons. Voluntary coaching often faces stress due to limited time, resources, and support. They are typically juggling coaching with another personal or work commitment, which can lead to burnout. Many lack a formal training as well and must rely on personal experience, whilst also dealing with pressures from players and parents who may have high expectations. For developmental coaching, coaches manage and varies athletes with varying ability and motivation. Their focus is on long-term growth, which requires patience and balance between fun and structure. Communicating effectively with parents and clubs adds another layer of responsibility, making this role both rewarding whilst also being extremely demanding. Elite coaches operate under intense pressure and pressure to deliver these results. They face scrutiny from the media, sponsors, and organisations while managing athlete performance, injuries, and morale. The constant demand for innovation and success makes this level of coaching highly stressful and competitive. Now to move on to coaching behaviours for certain field hockey coaches. Now, what are coaching behaviours? Coaching behaviours are how the coaches communicate and interact with their participant. Their use of interaction, demonstration, and feedback are used. And this is how coaches do this has a significant impact on the enjoyment and learning for the athlete. When a coach coaches, there are multiple different elements they need to consider before approaching the session and what behaviours are going to be used. Their behaviours are affected by age, which can affect the communication and energy. Their experience influences how they come across and how coaching methods are used. The philosophy is when the coach steps in and what is trying to be achieved. Whether the coach is trying to break down play and focus on passing more to break down the opponent, or trying to be direct and attack quick with purpose. The coach has to think about the participants and how many numbers they have, as when working with larger numbers, they need to focus more on having clearer instructions and efficient management. The age of the participants affects the communication style, as the type of session needs to be completed. If the skill level is high, the coach then needs to step back and let the players play instead of constantly instructing on the activity or technique, as this can infuriate athletes who are being told of what they do when they already know how to do it. How animated a coach is also increases or decreases the motivation for the group. as if they are quiet and shy, the participants may try and get away with not putting as much effort in, therefore decreasing the effectiveness of the session. The coach needs to adjust the behaviour based on the sport, what time of the season it is, and how the participants go. This drastically changes the motivation of the group, whether they want to partake or not. If the group is playing for fun, development, or performance, the coach needs to use the correct behaviours, as it can negatively impact the performers' motivation and their feeling towards the coach. The coach behaviour analysis is a system to assess and observe a coach's behaviour in a natural setting. It allows to enhance the understanding of the relationship between leadership behaviours and the athlete's reaction to these behaviours. It represents how the athlete is motivated and how they take on information for their own skill development. With this, 12 specific categories of behaviours are divided into two separate ones, known as reactive and spontaneous. Reactive behaviours are a response to athletes' action. For hockey, this could be a successful forehand hit or a tackle. The types included are reinforcement, non-reinforcement, mistake contingent encouragement, mistake contingent tech instruction, punishment, punitive technical instruction, ignoring mistakes, and keeping control. All of these behaviours are responsive and only happen after the athlete has performed or shown the behaviour. Spontaneous behaviours are behaviours only initiated by a coach and are not due to any result from the player's action. This can include the coach motivating a team before the final whistle starts or giving tactical advice before a penalty corner. The types of this are general technical instruction, general encouragement, organisation, and general communication. These behaviours, spontaneous behaviours, are only initiated by the coach, whereas reactive are initiated by the player. Now, how can coaches use this? For field hockey coaches, they can reflect back on their own coaching patterns and behaviours and see how they can improve their own delivery and communication. From this, they can further receive structured feedback to develop themselves and improve the individual or team. It can enhance motivation for the players, as if someone is getting praised and encouraged, they will feel more confident in their ability and also feel what they are doing is what is being asked of by the coach. The pros of this are objective feedback, as it provides a clear structural view of what the coaching actions are. This gives the coach self-awareness, as it increases their understanding of how their behaviours affect the athlete and whether it needs to happen more or whether it needs to happen less. From this, their communication improves as it promotes more effective, encouraging feedback, and from this, it increases overall coaching effectiveness. Despite these pros, the cons are that it's very time consuming. It requires observation, video analysis, or outside evaluators. It requires training, as the coaches or observers need to learn how to code and how to interpret these behaviours. It also can lead to observation anxiety, as not everyone, when being recorded, leads to their natural coaching behaviour. They may change. Also, it may lead to anxiety. It may lead to miss out of context, such as not fully capturing the tone, emotion, or intent behind these certain actions. The coach analysis intervention system is another type of framework that is used when analysing coaching practice and can be used when analysing the interactions between coaches and athletes. To do this, you need to capture what the coaches are doing during the practice or gameplay. They then need to classify the certain coaching behaviours that are used throughout the session, and they need to categorise it into categories. Evaluate the effectiveness of the behaviour for the athletes to see their engagement and understanding. They then, after evaluating, inform the coaches of what their reactions were, to develop the coach, then educate them on what is found from the observation. This could occur during mentoring or workshops. Using coach analysis intervention system, there are 23 primary behaviors. These can be feedback, praise, questioning, and instruction. These provide a more detailed and thorough data for the coaches use to analyze the coach's strength and weakness. To summarize and bring this resource to an end, the coaches can help players by using a variety of different behaviors and techniques to guide their athletes to gain their own personal growth and success. This could be from using the psychological techniques as mental rehearsal and using the frameworks such as PETLAP and the 5 C's to go through. It can also be used use the coach behavior assessment system to analyze themselves and what they need to do to improve their athletes from their own specific skills. To follow on, here are all my references of what I've used to extract this information. Thank you very much.